Hello, today I'm gonna teach you how to pass your exams. Secrets of exam success, how to make straight A's in your exams. Introduction. Number 1, a fast reader and a slow reader. 2, how to transfer data or what you read from your books to your brain. 3, what is mirror neuron and how it affects you become a better student. The power of practice and consistency. What is willpower? A fast reader and a slow reader. Fast readers, if you look at this picture here, you will see fast readers, they analyze data in 2 levels. They don't read out during their studies. They just look at it, grab the meaning and get on. That's why they are fast, and their brain is fast enough to grab the meaning fast. And they've been doing this since they are young, so it's not difficult for them to do. But for you that is a slow reader, you have to analyze in 3 levels. Now, when you see it, you have to speak the words out. Even though it is speaking it out under your voice, you have to speak it out. Then from there, you can analyze the meaning. It's a must. You have to, first of all, understand the kind of reader you are. If you're a slow reader, make sure you read this way. If not, your brain will not grab anything that you are reading. And that's why so many students face issues, because despite the fact that they are slow readers, they try to imitate the fast readers, and it gets them into trouble. Well, I can draw an analogy for you. For example, fast readers is just like transmitting electricity through low voltage, high current, and slow reader is just like transmitting electricity through high voltage, low current. If you're a science student, you will know that when you transmit electricity through high current and low voltage, there will be more losses in the process, but here there will be lesser losses. Most electricity companies transmit electricity this way, so it's better for them. Now, fast readers or speed reading. A fast reader can read a full chapter within an hour or 2 and be done with it, completely assimilating everything he read and ready for an exam in that chapter after those 2 hours. Now, these kind of individuals have perfected doing this from a young age. Some slow readers get intimidated by acts like this and try to force themselves to do the same thing. Since the slow readers are not trained like this from a young age, they won't produce same results. This leads to frustration and subsequently lower confidence in themselves, because obviously they cannot read the way the fast readers read, and they cannot assimilate as fast as them. They don't produce the same result and they get frustrated, whereas they can do things differently and still get the same result. This is what this video is all about. If you are facing such frustrations, you are probably a slow reader. Don't bother reading like everyone else. I will teach you how to read in a way that will fit you. Slow reading or traditional reading. A slow reader will be able to finish that same chapter within 5 to 8 hours or more, to be able to assimilate every single thing, just like the fast reader. So you see, it takes a slow reader longer time to achieve the same result, but then they end up achieving the same result. So if you realize that you're a slow reader, don't bother reading like the fast reader. Just read according to your pace and you will still get where the fast readers got to, and even better, because once you read this way, you will never forget anything. But the fast readers are prone to forgetting things easily, and it is really a challenge for them. Now, slow readers have the advantage of retaining information in their brain longer than fast readers because of the rigorous process they pass through to transfer same information, just like a fast reader. Slow readers, basically, they take longer time and longer efforts to pass information to their brain, but once they've done this, those informations will never leave their brain. But in the case of fast readers, it's very easy for them to forget what they've read. Now, slow readers are just like transferring information via low current, high voltage. I said this before. Now, there will be lesser losses through excessive current. Now, they don't read like the fast readers, so there will be lesser losses, meaning you will not forget what you read easily. Now, how to transfer information from your books to your brain. This is it. I know you may be expecting a big secret. It's not a secret. It's actually very simple, although it takes a lot of effort to achieve this, but it's very simple. The solution is practice and consistency coming together as you are reading. It's practice and consistency. You have to consistently practice 2 steps over and over again throughout the course of your reading. That's just it. The issue most people face is that they do it for the first chapter, for the first line or the second line, the first definition or so, and they get tired and they go back to reading as if they are reading novels, and that's where the problems are. Because if you read this way, you will not transfer anything to your brain, and if you don't transfer anything to your brain during the exam, there is nothing to write. You're in trouble. You have to make a commitment to follow 2 simple steps consistently for hours, doing the same 2 steps throughout the course of your reading. Now, this is actually very strenuous, but if you follow through, at the end of your reading, you will be glad you did. Let me explain. Whenever you are reading for exam, how do you read? You just read through the chapter from beginning to the end, just like in novel, merely memorizing 1 or 2 things along the way. This is wrong, and the major reason you are not producing good results as a student. Now, I know there are situations when you can read this way, when you are reading a novel, or when you don't need to cram or memorize anything or remember any of what you are reading. Now, this is absolutely acceptable. But when you are studying for exam and you need to study well and prepare for exam where you will be asked to write things down, you have to read well. You have to study the right way, and this is it. To solve this, get a jotter or another book for jotting. Get your pen ready. Follow these steps anytime you want to actually transfer something to your brain. Every student should read this way. There are 2 memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. Now, the major difference between A students and average students is A students have perfected how to transfer information from their short-term to long-term memory, while average students just leave what they read in their short-term memory. Few hours later, they forget everything, and they begin to wonder what is happening to them, and sometimes they think they are not intelligent. Actually, they just don't read the right way for them. Now, step 1. Transferring data to your short-term memory. This is actually the most difficult part, although the only thing is many average students just do it for a while and just stop, and that's the problem. Now, read through a line or section of the page you want to store in your brain, maybe a definition or types of things or whatever it is you want to memorize. Read through that section, read through that place, memorize that section and recite it like 3 to 5 times without looking at the book. If you make any mistake, look at the book. If you make any mistake while memorizing it, look back at the book, correct yourself, and start from beginning to memorize and recite it 3 to 5 times again. Now, don't make the mistake of maybe when you are memorizing and you miss 1 or 2 words or line. Don't make the mistake of continuing without correcting yourself, because your brain will automatically store those information that way, and when you're in the exam hall, you are bound to write that in the same way you mixed it up the first time you are memorizing it. So always correct yourself until that correction has stuck. Then you can now memorize it 3 to 5 times. When you are done memorizing it 3 to 5 times, what happens here is that as you are making mistakes and correcting yourself, your brain is gradually storing this data in your short-term memory. Those corrections and every other thing you are reading, your brain is gradually storing those data in your short-term memory. If you don't move this data to your long-term memory, within a few minutes of the data getting to your short-term memory, you will forget everything. And you see, this is where many students start failing even before exam comes close. So after memorizing this thing, 3 to 5 times, many average students just go their way and just continue reading. Within a few minutes or hours of reading, they forget everything, and this is where their problem starts. But if you cultivate the culture of moving these things to your long-term memory, you will become a better student. Step 2, how to transfer data from your short-term memory to long-term memory. Now, this is the simple part, because the strenuous part is transferring the data to your brain. Now, step 2 is all about transferring the data from your brain back to the book. Now, when you transfer the data from your book to the brain, this is the most stressful part. Once you've done this, calling back or recalling the data from your brain and writing it down in your book is actually easy, because the data is already in your brain. All you have to do is just to pick up your pen and write it in the jotter. Now, to achieve this, you need to write what you have memorized on your jotter. Just pretend you are in an exam hall. Write it out from your brain. Don't look at your textbook or the notebook you are reading from. Just write it from your brain. Just write it out straight from your brain to the book. Write that same thing repeatedly on that jotter, like 3 to 5 times. Each time, not looking at anywhere. Write it repeatedly, 3 to 5 times from your brain. For all those 3 to 5 times, write it from your brain. Note, the more you write, the stronger that information stays in your brain. Each time, don't look at any book, write from your brain. Make sure you don't compromise. Remember, practice and consistency. Now, if, for example, you read let's say you read one chapter of a book for, let's say 4 or 5 hours or 2 hours, I don't know. You read for 5 hours, for example, and if you finish a full chapter and you consistently follow these 2 steps in every section of that chapter that you want to remember for your exam, you consistently follow these 2 steps. Anytime you read this book, now when you finish reading that chapter and you come back tomorrow to read that same chapter, don't say, because I've done these 2 steps, I don't need to do it again. No. Just start from the beginning. Pretend you've not done these 2 steps at all and repeat the process again. Now, what this does is that when you read it for the first time, follow these 2 steps in reading the chapter for the first time. Now, that's the first time those information are getting to your brain. It will not be too clear, but they are still in your brain. What will happen here is that when you try to remember it, it will be a bit difficult to remember after a while. Probably when you are recalling it during the time you are reading it, it will be easier to recall it and write it down now. But when you stay for hours and come back for the second time to read that chapter, when you want to repeat this process, without reading it, it will be difficult to remember those things. And you have to read the whole thing from the beginning. Read the whole thing from the beginning. Start from step 1 again. Now, you will notice that if it took you like 30 minutes to memorize a particular section the first time you read that chapter, it's probably going to take you 10 or 15 minutes the second time to memorize those same things. Why? Because those information are already in your brain. Although you may not remember it readily, but they are there. Now, because of this, it will take you shorter time to remember those things. Now, consistency and practice. Now, continue step 1 and 2 until you get to the end of the chapter. One downside to reading this way is that it will take you like 3 times the time to read the same thing others read for a shorter time. But the results are always above 90% guaranteed. Every time. I've tested this myself. I've tested it myself over and over and over. I'm not the brilliant type. I'm actually a slow reader, but with this, I was able to scale through school and, achieved the kind of result I wanted. Graduated with the kind of degree I want. And I've taught this to so many students. I've coached so many people, both in high school and college, and they've been producing great results. Every single one of them that followed this, their CGP have greatly improved. Now, if you want to be an A student, don't be in a hurry to finish a chapter. Most people who are in a hurry to finish a chapter or finish a particular course or subject, they are average students. The fast learners who read this way are not really that good, because most times they just forget it very easily. But if you take it slow, following these 2 steps with fanatic consistency, never deviate from it. If you get tired, it's better to close the book than to rush and start speed reading. Remember, any place you started speed reading and stop following this 2 steps, from that place, I bet you nothing from those sections now entered your head. And if any question is asked from that place, you will not remember anything. Now, it's not going to be a magic, or just follow these 2 steps. Read it the first time. Follow these 2 steps from the beginning of the chapter to the end. When you come back for the second time to read this, start from the beginning. Follow the 2 steps again, pretending you've not done this before. Now, what will happen is that doing it the second time, it will be far easier to memorize a particular section. It will take you lesser time to memorize it, and something you memorize for 30 minutes the first day, it might take you 15 or 10 minutes to memorize it the second day. And when you come the third day, you find out that maybe when you do it, you read through that chapter, do it like 3 times or more, or at least 3 times, you find out that when you just come to read a particular chapter, it will seem like the words will just be jumping out from your head, and that is when you know that you are ready for that chapter. Nothing from that chapter can escape you now, and you are ready to be an A student. Now, in the next video, I will discuss the following: what mirror neuron is and how it can help you achieve success in studies and your life. Now, mirror neuron is all about, mirror is a reflection of a particular image. Now, neuron has to do with the brain. Now, when this has to do with the kind of friends you follow, the things you see, your brain automatically copies or reflects what is around you to your brain. Now, what this means is the friends you keep affects your reading. It affects your performance as a student, and that is what mirror neuron does.